We're back. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from on this beautiful July 12th. It is fantastic to be back. It's the TreeTrunk Show. We made it. And we're joined by the incredible Arabella Popper. This is amazing. We got a hell of a show today.
So excited to have you on, Arabella. How are you doing?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me.
Made a mad dash for coffee before this. I hope everyone's got their beverage of choice for this morning show. If you're drinking, I hope you're in Europe or in Asia or in Africa, not in the Pacific time zone. I'd be worried about you. But we had a great Twitter. Like, we took over Twitter last night, y'all, from 4 p.m. Pacific till 2 a.m.
I saw that.
I was like,
crazy. Did I miss the meeting?
It was completely unannounced. Serena and I thought maybe there had been a conversation, but it seems like it was an impromptu TreeTrunk takeover.
I love it.
Yeah,
What better way?
I just saw Logic on my phone. I got a little alert that said Logic is talking in a room, and I was like, okay, let's go see what he's doing. And then we just started talking, and there was like 3 people, and then there was like a bunch of people, and they started buying prints and asking about how, and then reprinting. We did a lot of education that night. Like, people, we were able to get it across to people that they buy the print, they sell, they make more prints, and they sell those. That was good. There was one guy that actually did sell his own print until he figured it out, and then he, kind of worked it out. But yeah, lots of market education that I think that's our game right now, is getting people used to the kinetics of TreeTrunk.
Yeah, I've had a few artists ask me to point them, where to get information and to onboard and stuff. So I've been pointing people to Discord and to the YouTube channel and all that. So
can we pull up some of Arabella's work?
Sure.
We talk about it?
Absolutely can.
Yeah, I was going to say I could screen share, but I probably can't.
Well, this one's got preview on it, but this is Serena. And then,
you got a bunch of stuff out there now.
Oh yeah,
I do.
Here, we can do a little slideshow through it.
That's
Arabella, it's 4, right?
I think there's 4, maybe 5. That's TV heat.
I'll do a screen share because I happen to have.
That's my newest one. That's Near Ripe. That's a little 5x5 painting.
Can we, while we walk through them, Arabella, could you tell us a little bit about the process that went into the creation of them? As much as you're willing to share, obviously, but are you down to talk about each piece a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of these are from a series that's sort of ongoing. I started in 2010 called Biomorphic Garden Party.
Awesome.
It was just one day I decided I was sick of painting people, and I did 3 of these, and they were shown at the Contemporary Art Center in Baton Rouge, and they all sold. And I was like, oh, well, okay, maybe that's something I should keep doing. So I liked it because I was, coming from a background as a figurative and portrait painter. I didn't have to make a thing look like a thing. The alchemy of the oil paint could turn it into whatever. I was allowed to make mistakes, I didn't have someone going, oh, is my chin really that fat? Or something like that. But also I'm really into Gainsborough's paintings. He's mostly known for his portraits, but he also did landscapes too. And so I was really inspired by his landscapes. And then I found out later that he used to make little models with mirror would be the pond, and he would use that as his reference instead of the bucolic landscapes of Southern England, I guess, because they just, weren't up to his standards of being weird. um, so this one actually was started, this one on the screen, this was for a group show about the moon goddess. And I didn't like where it was going. And I ended up doing a completely different painting for that show, but I kept this around. And then I was like, I'm just going to get weird. I'm just going to just do whatever. And
Why is
this is how it
whole,
came out.
that's kind of cool.
So I like to do, landscapes that look, like an earthly landscape, but then there's kind of like, I call it alien botany going on.
Love that.
I started getting into like macro universe, micro universe, like, what would these cells look like in an alien body, or what would it look like in a body like 10 million years from now, or 10 million years ago, or, just like how every organism has its own way of developing. And for me, these are like my little organisms that I get to control. And like, they all look like they're going through growing pains or deciding what they want to be in a weird way. And it's also just fun to paint and not have to have something look exactly like it's supposed to. Like, I'm really bad at painting hands, for instance. And so like that was always the worst thing for me, or that's why I try to hide it in paintings, because like I'm really horrible at it. I'm great at feet though. That's weird. I don't know.
Really how funny is that?
Interesting.
Like no effort whatsoever.
Wow.
And so the abstracts actually kind of came at a weird time too, because like when I was in art school, I was doing, figurative and portrait, and like that's always what I've done. And at the time, that wasn't very in the art world. And they were like, why don't you try doing video art and installation art? And I'm like, okay, but I don't like being told what to do. And then that very famous animator, Jules Engel, who bought one of my paintings when I was a student, it was an abstract that I had just done when I was bored watching TV. And like, that was the other reason I never did abstracts really, is because they came too easy to me. So I was like, well, where's the challenge in this? And he pointed at it and was like, you should be doing work like this. This is what you should be doing. And then of course, immediately that's what I don't want to do, because now I have someone telling me what I should be doing. But I read an interview with the painter Marilyn Minter, and she said, if it comes easy to you, that's what you should be doing. Like, why are you making things hard for yourself? Do the thing that comes easy. So this is the work that comes easiest as far as like oil painting is concerned.
Wow. I love that advice too. Like, I love that you got advice from one person, and then you're like, problem with authority kicked in. You're like, nah, I don't do that. And then somebody else came and was like, whoa. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but lean in.
Hey, Arabella, you're
like punk rock issues with authority through and through.
like a true Gen Xer. I don't know if you've seen. Let me switch over to this. Did you see this article that just came out about the Leonardo? Came out today.
Yes, I actually there was another issue that came about with another piece of work that was being sold, and it was like, if you had done this as an NFT, this wouldn't be a problem,
Yeah, well, I mean, I find it interesting that I think this for 100 or 200,000 or somewhere in the middle, and it was so it's the real Da Vinci, or there's a controversy about that, but that's not really the point here. It's interesting that they made a copy, a real copy. They put it in crystal. A major house did it, and then they sold the NFT as a right to get that, as well as the digital piece. And it went for a lot. So I thought that was quite interesting, and especially for all of our physical art folks. I still think that there's market education to be done here for artists. I mean, on the Twitter space last night, just getting people from this idea that the NFT is the art to the NFT is an agreement about the art, and in this case, an agreement about rights. Once people kind of got onto that, it was very easy to understand why they would keep their NFT and sell reprints. But when you think it's the art, it's confusing. So I think we've got a lot of work to do on educating people about what's really what here.
Yeah, so I've been having this problem, and like it's gotten to the point where I'm just like, if someone doesn't want to step over the line completely with me into the space, like I can't force them. But I'm really hoping. So there's where I live in Cleveland, Ohio. There's a big art triennial going on right now, and it's like throughout the city. It got disrupted because of COVID. We had it like 5 years ago, I think was the last time, maybe 4 years ago. But so I wanted to do an NFT related thing for it. Obviously, didn't happen as fast as I wanted, but we are going to be doing something in November. And a big component of it is education. We're going to make like a punk rock zine that has actionable steps if you are a creator. And it's kind of like my PDF download. I speak straight to people because like when I explain stuff, like, yeah, you're just uploading a file. And they're like, oh, I thought there was like some fancy magic around it. I'm like, no,
Arabella,
I'm just uploading a file.
we're so in alignment. I've been trying to tell people not to use the word minting anymore because I think it's confusing. People think it's a whole it's like it's an upload. Please continue. I love that you're in alignment with that. It's crazy. It's like confusing
Yeah.
people for no reason.
So this like zine, that's the educational component is going to be like that. It's just going to be like, you know, oh, and I'm so mad my video's not working. I was going to show you guys. We have a publication here in Cleveland called the Collective Arts Network, and it's a really beautiful full color magazine. And they printed one of my NFTs in it, and it was funny because they interviewed me. What was that, in May? And they were like, yeah, this is going to come out in July. I was like, oh, you're going to be really like behind. I'm like, a lot of stuff is going to happen in 2 months. I'm like, you know, whatever I say in this right now, just make sure there's a link to my website because things can change. But
what do you think now that it's out? Were you right in your estimate that things changed a ton, or was it similar? Like, did your answers apply?
My answers mostly applied, except the number of NFTs I sold is a lot more now. Yay!
Right.
Awesome.
And actually, the NFT that sold it sold like right as NFT NYC started, like right as my plane landed. And I remember being like, "Yay!" And then I looked at what ETH was at, and I was like, "Yay!" But it's all good. So I'm just hoping like this show and like, you know, I wrote an article for the Craft Industry Alliance and the comments on that were good. They're like, oh, you explained it better than everyone else. Like I read these articles that are really long and I don't know what, you know, I've read by the time I'm done with it and all that stuff. So, you know, we'll get there. I think like John's right. Like we should have led with what the tech is for and not with, look, it's pictures, you know. That's what I try to explain to people.
Yeah. Now they're paying attention now. Like, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. We spoke about it last week on the show. Kind of the double-edged sword that the words NFT have become. Like for some people, super exciting. For some people, very polarizing. What is your thoughts on that? Like, do you think we should be leaning more into the conversation around digital art and that kind of being the renaissance that we're in, or do you think it's important to stick with like calling it NFTs and calling it NFT art?
I think digital art is a better term, and I'm saying that now just because I feel like, you know, we had the crazy bull run that's kind of over, and I've been applying for grants for this show and I got rejected by 2 of them because they said, we love the proposal, we love the art, we love the budget, we love the timeline, we love everything, but oh, NFTs, isn't that a scam? They like couldn't get over it. And I went to a couple other nonprofits and I was like, hey, and I'll get you set up with a crypto wallet. Like I'll do it for free. Like it'll take me 15 minutes. Like, and they're so freaked out by that. So freaked out. And so the scamminess part of it, people have a lot to get over when it comes to that. So I'm writing a new grant now for my digital art, because I started doing digital painting like 5 months ago. And nowhere in my proposal am I going to put NFT. I'm going to say digital art throughout the entire thing. And it's kind of a test, like to see if I get it, like
Yep.
the ones that say the word NFT, NFTs, like those all got rejected. Let's see if I just stick with digital art, and then maybe, the scam radar, the hairs don't stand up on the back of their necks.
I was speaking to an artist about TreeTrunk, and the second I said NFTs, their eyes glazed over. And so the second pass that I made about it, I was like, look, it's a great place for you to have your digital art exist and like create digital prints. And then they were like, oh, okay. It was like the second I dropped that one term. But I think it's like, you just got to pick the audience. So I'm excited to hear what your test yields. I also wanted it's a backtrack. I love the piece that's up right now. I like that we got to see the difference of your styles.
Oh, yeah. So this was actually an oil painting. It's on my website, called the Mirrensley Girls. It's a 12 by 12 oil painting. And then for this, I put like, some crazy orange, like they do have orange hair in the actual painting, but this, I just made it even more. And then I kind of like the way that the script looked. It reminded me of, like, I don't know, when people wrote letters back in the day and they had such beautiful handwriting, not like today. And I just really liked the way it turned out. So yeah, put that up in there.
Yeah.
So that's like another way I took like a physical painting and changed it to be a digital piece. So
Looks like this one you have on the number one on private sale. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, cool. So that's pretty interesting. I think when you talk about the art, and people in your world not digging the NFTs, I totally get that. I just think maybe it's an, oh, by the way, it's just, hey, look, it's in this gallery. Here's the physical piece. And if you can buy into the digital piece of it, you could buy the original or the actual physical piece. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. You could say which one is going to have the rights to that, just like that Rembrandt. All right, so it's everything is old school. It's just that it's a newer sales receipt system.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a while, but like, yeah, for my first collection, I actually have it so that you get physical art with it. You get like a 6x6 color pencil drawing that's matted, ready to frame, and like no one has gone for it. I'm like, oh, so I have them sitting here, and then I had people who didn't want the NFT, but they wanted the drawings, and so that's been a weird thing. Like, I just have it up. I was debating on if I was told to keep it there in case, like,
This was on OpenSea or something?
It's on OpenSea, and I was told just to keep it there and not burn it, because they're like, well, who knows?
Who knows? Somebody
maybe want those drawings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody bought my Jaja pink Moodle, so anybody can buy anything. I like the idea of maybe doing like the first gen be a one, only one, and that's the print, that's the actual physical, the rights to the physical piece, and you put that in the number one. Hey, Serena, there's a feature that we got to talk about is being able to put different notes in different items, and that's something for the future. And then the other part, one of the problems that we have is because we're so non-custodial. Here, I'll bring up Ira if we can. See if he's up there.
I saw his video very briefly.
Yep, I think he's having trouble with connection, so I'll just turn that back off. I think the problem, or being able to say, hey, I've got the number one, and then that gives me the print or the actual physical piece. But I also want to license the ability for people to enjoy the work digitally below that. So you'd have like one, and then down here you'd have 10 of the reprints and so on, right? And that might be interesting for physical collectors to say, yeah, I've got the physical print, but I want to be able to permit display of it in different locations on the web. And and especially because then you can go over IPFS. Oops, not gonna let me do that.
And you could
click on
also gamify it, right,
IPFS.
Tom?
Sure. I think
you could make it so like one of the 3 first gens could get the physical. Or you can do stuff like that, right?
I like the idea that at a certain date, the person who has made the most reprints and sold them is the one that gets the physical piece. Right?
I like that too.
Because then you're contributing. It's not just a gambling, drawing kind of game. That gets into that kind of legal. But if you're doing something like it's the person that makes the most reprints and resales, then I think that breaks it out of game law. I think. I'm not a lawyer.
I think it's one of the most exciting parts about it, to me at least, is that it's turning who could be just collectors into art dealers, which it's like opening the doors to art dealers everywhere, which I think is an exciting. There's so many NFT promoters already. It's like now you don't have to promote. You could literally, make your favorite artist more money and yourself money at the same time. It's a cool concept.
I think one of the things we've got to do is, like for example, if you go into Banerjee, excuse me. Let's see. I think I own one of these. Yeah. So in this case here, I've already made all the prints, but I haven't made all these reprints, right? So it says make prints up here in this little blue. I think we might need to amp that up, maybe something like that, because people aren't seeing it. Not seeing a lot of, I see a lot of buying depending on the artist, but not a lot of making of reprints. So I think we're going to have to, that's something we're learning how to do. We're just trying to find ways of eliminating the frictions at this point.
Well, because it's so new, I think a lot of it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I've actually printed out a lot of NFTs that I've bought, like from different artists, different platforms, and like hung them up in my home. So I'm also showing friends like, no, look, it's like you're buying a print, dude. You're just also buying the license and blah, 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 depending what the artist intended. And I also got a Samsung monitor. It's super thin. It's super rad. We're having trouble installing it because I hit some brick in my wall where I want to hang it. But it's going to be like for my NFT collection. So I'm excited to get that mounted.
That is awesome.
I just bought one today. I have a kitty running.
When it comes to you as a collector versus you as an artist, do you, like, as a appreciator of art, do you like looking at different styles more than the styles you create in, or are you collecting art in similar styles?
Oh no, they're all very different. Nothing really, I don't think, looks like mine, and that goes for like physical art that I collect too. Which is funny because then people come in, if they come into my home and they're like, "Oh, did you do all this?" I'm like, "No." And they're all so different. I don't know why people would say that, but I guess, I don't know. They just assume if you're an artist and you hang stuff up, it must all be yours. But yeah, like I'm really into like pop art, and like we have some stuff that looks, sort of like a 18th century etchings, and got like some gig posters. And then I'm really into like glitch art and pixel art, but like really good pixel art. Like also because I know it's a lot harder than it looks to do pixel art. Like it's actually really hard. But so like you just scroll by, like I love his Cadillac there. Is that a Cadillac or a Ford Futura? I haven't been up on my cars lately, but like that's kind of, my husband and I like this kind of style, so I collect all kinds.
I love that. I also love when you come on the show because I take notes on the the things that you like. I wrote down Gainsborough paintings. I wrote down Jules Engel and Marilyn Minter. I learned a lot.
Jules is actually a very interesting guy because he was doing experimental animation in the 20s and 30s, and he was doing like this constructivist art and then animating it. And then, you know, he gets a job doing the background paintings for Bambi and for Fox and the Hound. He did a couple other big ones. And then he went and joined another animation studio. But his style is all different too. Like if you, like I did go to like a mini retrospective of his, and it was like all completely different. Like he did painting, he did printmaking, he did ink, he did animation in different styles, oil painting. So he was a really big inspiration for me. And then the biggest inspiration, actually, and the one person whose art kind of looks like mine just because I grew up with it, is David Moretsky. He's a Ukrainian artist based in New York, and he came to the TreeTrunk event. He came to Times Square when I had my work up, and he's like, I got him a crypto wallet. He likes to brag he has one. He has not used it. But this whole thing blows his mind. I mean, he really digs it, but his art is just amazing. He's an oil painter and he does figurative work, but it's like, I don't know, got this weird uneasiness to it. It's like surreal as well. So yeah, definitely look up David Moretsky. I was trying to convince him to put some stuff on the blockchain, but we'll see.
You know, there was a project called Adara that had came out of Banco Santander, and it was really one of their brilliant technologists there, one of the vice presidents. He came up with a thing that they're using it for something else right now these days, and I'm sad about it because what they were going to do, the thing that I was excited about, was effectively turning your traditional bank account into crypto. In other words, basically cryptoizing your bank account. So you didn't have to move your money from your bank account. It was in your bank. And there was gear that had to be installed by the bank to do this, which is why it was Santander that was doing it, because they're a bank and they can do that. And the gear would effectively kind of tokenize your kind of turn your own personal money into effectively a version of WETH. And then you could use it in smart contracts without moving it out of your bank account. And you could also then just buy a bank account with fiat with it. And I like it a lot because that idea, because one of the things we're struggling with is that not everybody understands wallets. In fact, most people still don't.
Yep.
Two of the three last customer service chats, this little window here, if anybody hasn't seen it, click on that. You're probably getting one of the executives here because I believe that all startups should have the execs on the customer service team in the beginning. In particular, it's a way of learning.
That is.
And two of the last three that I fielded were basically not understanding how to get Ether into their Polygon account, even though we've made that really easy. So wouldn't it be nice if you could actually but the problem is if we were letting you use fiat, fiat doesn't know how to interact with the smart contract, so the royalties don't work. So you have to have some kind of way of doing that. And there are some ways, but I always liked the idea that, well, I'm just going to, go in like Stripe, enter my credit card or enter my bank account or enter my bank card, and then it would still interact with the smart contract as though we were moving crypto. How cool would that be? But that was years ago that they came up with that, and they're still working. They're chasing another demon, so they're not doing that.
Yeah,
I think that's one of our, especially with your community. Yeah, you had to get somebody on a wallet, and they still haven't used it. There's just a lot of friction there. When the iPhone came out, nobody knew what the hell to do with that big round button at the bottom of the screen either. So you just have to kind of wait it out. I think there's something
really embarrassing. I was such a Luddite to the point where my mom had to teach me how to use an iPhone. Like, I mean, when was this? Probably 2013, 14 is when I got my first iPhone, and she had to teach me how to use it.
What were you using before that?
I had just like a BlackBerry.
Oh, okay.
I held on to that Crackberry for a very long time, but that's why, like,
loved
with
the
all of this,
Crackberry.
I'm like being completely the opposite of how I used to be, because being a Luddite got me nowhere. So now I'm like doing the opposite. Now everyone's looking at me like, what? But they think I've just drank Kool-Aid and, Arabella's off on her crypto bullshit. That's what one person said, apparently. So
Fair
I'm
enough.
like, no, it's not crypto. And then that's the other thing too. When I bring this up to people, they immediately go, oh, so does this have something to do with Bitcoin? Or they think they pay in Bitcoin, or that my artwork is made with Bitcoin. Like, they just know the word Bitcoin, and that's all they know. So,
It's like we're fighting.
People are being smart about any other number of things than what you want them to be smart about. So I get that.
It's true.
Last night we were on with Logic, and he not only sold like all of the first gens, but several of the second gens in one session. So it was almost like a Tupperware party. I was like, oh, okay, this is how you do it. So we had a live session, and a bunch of people started buying his pieces. He had figured out that, oh, this is a really interesting strategy, Arabella. He had one up, and it was for like 0.08 ETH, and that sold, and then another sold, and then when almost all of those sold out, he went to 0.8 ETH, and this one I think sold for 0.8 ETH. Yep, sold 0.8 ETH. And so that was interesting, right? When the supply of the first gen started running out, people were fraud about getting in on it. That's when he changed the price that's when he lit up the number one.
10
so you could buy anything other than number one at 10 times the original, which sold.
Yeah.
Which sold, and now all of them are listing for 0.8. I thought that was
being
really
in
smart.
Spaces has definitely helped, like, because that's where the people are, So, like, it just sucks that, like, where I live, like, your community where you live is a huge supporter if you're an artist. Like, most of my collectors are here, so it's kind of like a bummer that they can't partake, and it's partly due to their own fear or their own, like, oh, I have to learn another tech thing. Sometimes these are people who don't even have Facebook because they're like, eh.
You can't force that. I mean, that's just time.
So
right? But you got to
like,
find the early adopters.
Yeah, so it's like I basically have to go inward into the internet to find, essentially new collectors, which is cool. But I feel bad for, my regular peeps who feel like they can't partake just because, the tech isn't as user friendly as it should be, or it's just too complicated for them. And, I'm trying to figure out something else.
These folks, take a look at this. I mean, look at this. This was kind of a mistake. The first owner bought it from Logic, right, for 0.08, then sold it for 0.069, which sold. Then another buyer, but he shouldn't have sold it, right? Because what he didn't figure out, and the second buyer hasn't figured out yet either, is what he wants to do is go up to the top and make more prints. So over here, this one has made three of the 8 are already listed, and this one's already sold once. And now again, I think, okay, yeah. See, they're doing it the right. Well, they've listed. Okay, they've almost got it right. They've listed. They're listing their children prints, right? Their reprints. But they also listed their print. And that means that somebody's going to buy this and get the royalties from all these reprints.
But I like that you can structure it like that too, where it's like, look, if you want all of them, you can get it for this price, or you can get it for cheaper. But if they buy the cheap one, they've paid off their original and still have 3 other pieces. I think once people start understanding they can make money on it and still get to hold the piece, which you can't do usually. I think then they'll be like, oh, okay, this is awesome.
Now, I did this with the one that because I was kind of demonstrating stuff, so I bought this one earlier, and so that you can see this is owned by me. I don't want to own it because I don't want to be a front runner or anything like that. So I'm trying to, so I'm making it parity with everybody else's so that I'm not messing with the pricing. But that's the only reason I'm offloading mine.
And soon you'll all be in touch with each other, right? All the collectors will be put in a place where they can communicate with each other and Logic, right?
Correct.
That's awesome. And
don't ask me the date of that delivery because
I left it out intentionally.
Serena will tell you. No, I'm kidding.
At a later date.
Product says what and why, and engineering says how and when. So yeah, there you go. This was quite interesting. So that might be something to do, Arabella. I don't know that Tupperware party is the best imagery here, but you get the idea.
No, it's true. I mean, I feel like most spaces are kind of a Tupperware party as it is.
This one could, because you could really like what we were doing is I was sitting there going, okay, check it out. This one's up. Okay, now this one, and then we were doing about a bit of education too. Like we're like, okay, who's going to grab that second gen, right? And people were getting it a lot better, at least. So yeah, he sold a bunch of stuff. I don't know how much he made, but it was a lot. So good for him.
Arabella, what was your decision behind making? Because I saw that one of your pieces had 2 per generation, right? Is that something you did across all of them, or did you do different generations?
They're all different, and I think the one with the most is the newest one, Near Ripe. And I'm going to do another one that has a lot, like a big tree, big tree, but that will be coming. But yeah, Near Ripe is like my newest one that I put up.
Have you found that certain tree types work better than others, just in terms of your works?
No, not yet.
Okay. Just curious.
I did like the idea of having 2. I love all the different ways that you can do it, because it's like you can give more opportunity, or if it's like a piece that you're like, nah, I want to maintain a lot of rarity on this one. It's like, we're going to see 7 prints total,
Yeah.
I just thought that was cool. I think it was the invasion piece that I saw that on.
Oh yeah, that's a smaller edition.
I also loved, side tangent, I love how you did the moon on the invasion one. The way that you created depth with like the lighter color. That was badass.
Yeah, because that was supposed to be for like a moon goddess show. So that's where I started. And then the whole piece fell apart. And I was like, this isn't working. I'll do something else. So yes, here's David Moretsky. He's my, I mean, the first art show I ever went to was in New York City, and it was his at OK Harris Gallery in Chelsea. And that was probably 1982, 1983.
How much did this NFT go for? Oh, wait. I think that's the other thing that's going to be huge for you, Arabella, is being able to have people make the print and then put it into more of a traditional art gallery, but then just have that buy button there that will intrigue people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I love the idea. We've been working with our press folks, and I'm not guaranteeing that this will happen, but the idea of putting one of the artist's prints into the article. And again, but you can actually buy it without leaving the article.
That's awesome. And then, so if it were at a gallery, for example, right? Let's say like I go to an Arabella show. There's a piece up, QR code in the corner. The QR code is the TreeTrunk link. I scan.
No, it's easier than that. There's actually a little button that'll pop up here that says buy.
Oh.
And as long as you're on a browser that allows you to do a wallet, you're good.
Like you could have you wouldn't have to switch main nets from ETH to Polygon. It would just give you it would pull it up.
Well, no, it'd have to go to Polygon, but
you'd have to reset the main net.
So yeah, there's a lot of user testing to be done on this.
I love it though. That's
well, got until November.
That's the other piece of our education we got to get to is nobody should be putting any kind of data on a mainnet, on an L1, that is. Ultimately the Ethereum mainnet is going to be a big giant bag of hashes. It's not going to be where you put any kind of data. It's just too expensive and not the right job for it. You gotta think about L2s, whether now what be that Polygon or Solana or what have you. It doesn't matter, but that's where. Otherwise, I mean, all this buying and selling that we did last night cost virtually nothing in gas.
Can you explain that for folks as briefly or as elaborate as you choose to, as far as why you're saying L2s are that much better for L1s than selling and buying art?
Sure.
I think it would benefit a lot of people to know that because I can't explain it like you can. I try to, but.
Well, okay. So say I don't think do I have the rights to any of these at this point? All right. Say I want to make. Yeah, I'm allowed to do this, right? So say I want to make a new print out of this 3.4, right? I want to create 3.4.1, right? And that creates a digitally unique reprint of 3.4, so it can prove that it's a child of 3.4, but just by the ones and zeros that are in the picture itself, even though it looks visually the same. Yay! So we make reprints, right? So I'm going to just make one reprint, right? And there we go. So I go to next, and see it's going to say down here total gas fee per print, 0.021 Matic. That's 1.2 cents in USD, roughly. How much would that be if you were trying to do it on the Ethereum mainnet, even if it was just a 721, which is cheaper to print, to mint? Could be hundreds of dollars, right? Even if we could run a smart contract like the TreeTrunk EIP 4910 on draft standard on the L1 Ethereum mainnet, it would be astronomically expensive because blockchains don't scale.
Right. More people come on, more expensive it gets.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this the first time NFTs were a thing with CryptoKitties. Remember that? CryptoKitties just crowded out everybody, made the cost of doing anything on Ethereum expensive and slow. Because, imagine you have just a computer and everybody in the world's trying to hit that one computer. That's actually faster and better than what you have with the blockchain, because now every time somebody hits your computer, it's got to go phone up all the other computers and say, "Are you good? Are you good? Are you good? Are you good? Yeah, no, you don't have the right thing. Oh, you're fucking okay. That's not right. All right." It takes a long time. It's extraordinarily computationally expensive by design, and at the end, but it's acting as though it were a single computer that everybody is hitting. Right? Reads, writes, transformations, or transactions, state changes. That's a lot to ask of a poor little singleton, as they call him. And so other layer one technologies have more scalability, but not enough to be the world computer. Right? Ethereum, that's what Yeah, Ethereum is not going to be the world computer. It's going to be the internet's ordering and hash management service. Right? It's just that you don't get a headline out of that line. But that's what that's a boring way of saying it's the finality layer, right? But you don't want to actually use it as your back end. We're having enough trouble with Polygon, and Polygon, because it's less impacted, it's not as heavily hit as the Ethereum mainnet, and it has more scalability. But it's still back to the Ethereum mainnet, so you have a little bit of more security from that. So that there's basically, Polygon is basically going checking with Ethereum, going, hey, am I okay? Am I okay? Am I okay?
And is that what makes it more scalable? Is just that separation?
Yeah. But it also means that if you have ETH on Ethereum today, you have to know how to bridge it, and I can actually do that. We have videos on this.
Yeah, bridging was the thing that I had trouble with when I was starting out, and I think a lot of people have trouble with. for this show that I'm doing in November, 2 of the artists are not on the blockchain yet, and onboarding them is actually going to be part of the show. So I think because of the cost, we're actually going to go we're either going to do TreeTrunk or we're just going to go on Tezos. We haven't decided yet. Depends how much work we have. But it'll be nice because we're going to have physical paintings along with like monitors. It's not going to be just a white box with monitors, you know. We've
Sure.
got some plans to make it a fun psychedelic garden, shall we say.
Right on. So yeah, you just move it over from Ethereum. You know, so if you have any basic ETH in Ethereum, you can turn it into. You can either take your ETH and it'll turn it into ETH by moving it over Polygon. That's it. And it takes a hell of a long time because the two blockchains are doing a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
That's
because
the other thing I
blockchains
tell
are not,
people.
they're not known for their speed. That's not what they do.
I think that's part of the anxiety people get when they're new to the space too, is that things are taking so long. And I'm like, look, it's like dial up. It takes a while like that. But it's like, you know, that suspense, like even I still get it sometimes. Like, is it going to go through? Is it going to go through? Is it going to go? Oh, okay, it went through, you know.
Yeah. Web service ADHD is a thing, right? We're all used to this instantaneous gratification.
Yes.
I mean, we could have, and maybe we will in the future, just do a lot more of this on, God help me, I'm going to say it, Web 2 as a staging kind of system. So you can get the kind of instantaneous gratification, but then maybe have a little timer that says, you know, okay, now it's not really real yet. I was just trying to make you happy. And, okay, now it's all set up. It's all on traditional systems, which are really good and fast, but it's not, you know, written in ink yet. So imagine it's like it's written it's like in pencil, and when you hit the final, it's in ink, but that might take an hour to, you know, do. And then we can do that in the background while you go to sleep or something. I don't know. I mean, blockchains are blockchains, and Web 3 is Web 3, and it's, you know, most of the things that people are confused about or having trouble with so far are basically because we really took the line that we wanted to try to make it truly decentralized, truly Web 3, and truly non-custodial. One of probably the biggest practical problems we have right now is that when you get, there's no way for us to alert you as to when you get a sale.
Yeah,
because we don't have your email address.
Right.
I was like, yay, look at all this surprise stuff.
Yeah, you got to go back in and remember to do that. So there are artists that are just never going to do that. So I think before we get too far down that road, probably have to call up Ira and say, okay, how can we legally, you know, create a bridge between somebody's, you know, account, which just has a public key, and being able to actually send them an email without us holding onto the email. That's a nice trick. And that little trick is doable, but there's no like snappy immediate way to do it. It's kind of pretty bleeding edge. So we can't just like plug in some service to do it, or some component. So it's work, and that means. But yeah, that's kind of what those are some of the challenges we face. Or we could just go full on Web 2 like OpenSea, and then everybody's happy. I should be I don't mean to say that OpenSea is fully and only Web 2. It's not. They definitely plug into the blockchain, but
I tell
they do
people
like
a lot of stuff on traditional servers.
Yeah.
Arabella, that's a perfect example. They're the Facebook of Web3.
I'm like, they're a necessary evil. It's good for people starting out, but you know, you can graduate.
Good on them, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they're the MySpace.
I like that.
MySpace at least wasn't trying to take down governments.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think
Tom
they're
was a
really
good
trying to
guy.
take down governments? I don't know. I think, but you
Tom
know,
was my
I've
first
known
internet
people that went on to, you know, who were like, you know, just like you and me, and they went on to wind up being at the helm of a big company, and suddenly they're supposed to be evil, and I'm like, yeah, I think they're the same person. They still just, you know, want to get home and take care of their kids.
Well, and I tell people Tezos is like the penny slots of crypto or crypto art. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll play with that. That's kind of what I tell people to do. I tell them start on Tezos, especially like, from a monetary standpoint, if you just want to play. But there's so much good art on there too. So, and then, I've been telling people you can make prints on TreeTrunk. So
there you are. You're number 2. You were the second thing ever to be on the mainnet version of TreeTrunk.
Wow. And so many people think that's a digital image. Like, even when it was projected and all large, like someone was like, but no, that's done with a computer. I'm like, no, this is oil paint.
Wow.
It really looks like it.
Mhm.
It's because it's so vibrant.
Mhm.
If this was done with a computer, that would be a virtuoso performance, because there's a lot of brushstroke detail that you'd have to recreate.
And I mean, there's certain things I can only do digitally too, but I think it's kind of fun seeing like what people think is the digital piece and what is the oil painting.
So is it oil painted gray and then black behind it?
It's
in the I don't know what the term is for that.
Yeah, there's like a gradient of like purple and like a lighter black, and then it gets blacker.
That's wild.
Yeah, you made some sales in here, it looks like.
Yeah.
But again, see, RGT1 didn't make any prints.
But the only one that looks painterly is the latest one, I think, is Near Ripe. That's like the most, like, where you can tell that's a painting.
It's
and
wild.
Making prints. So yeah, we have education to do here, right? All the buyers, none of them made reprints.
Yeah, I looked at that and was like, oh, okay.
Well, I think it's just, again, it's user education, market education. We've really got to get to that, which, by the way, is what we're doing right now. See, if you're watching this, market education.
Yeah.
You understand. These are the droids you're looking for.
Exactly. I'm glad you got the hand movement. Oh, I love that. A little Jedi mind trick.
I was watching an interview with Owen, Ewan McGregor, and who plays Obi-Wan Kenobi on the TV show, and apparently he's in the movies, and he's been for years. Apparently, he'll do this little thing when he walks through sliding doors at airports and stuff. And he'll just do this little thing, like the Force is opening the doors. I think that's hilarious.
I like people that bring their characters into real life. Like Bill Murray will do that with people. He'll go up to them and interact with them and basically be like, no one's going to believe that I did this. Like eat their fries when they're out to dinner and stuff and whisper in people's ears. Gotta love it.
Hey, it's the top of the hour.
We made it. Arabella, I still can't get over that you painted that piece. The pinks and blacks in the middle too. I'm fanning out a little bit. I'm going to have to, that's wild. That is painted.
Yeah. Well, the part that the one friend was really freaking out about was like the very middle.
That's what, yeah, exactly. That middle region is wild.
But it's kind of like, my little weird alien creatures,
my wife, she goes, is that? And I said, yes, it is.
They're like in an odd state of evolution. I don't know, something.
I love it. Well,
you and Crypto Jeweler can get together. Oh my gosh, you and Crypto Jeweler should do a Crypto Jeweler of this piece.
Ooh.
Let me just plug Crypto
really
Jeweler
cool.
here really quick, right? So Crypto Jeweler did this beautiful custom for TreeTrunk piece here. He's a bunch of them, actually. Yeah, isn't that beautiful? And that's actually buy that.
I was going to say that your piece, that gold, the crown with the jewels would be a crazy ring too.
Yeah. I like the tentacles.
Yes.
You guys should get together. I mean, you know each other. You should get together and.
Yeah, we follow each other on Twitter and stuff. We're in a few groups together as well.
Very cool.
Well, y'all,
everybody,
we have made it. We did it. It was an incredible show as always. Arabella, you're just such an inspiration, and I always am taking notes when you come on the show. So I hope that we have you on again. And hopefully we'll see you in the Twitter spaces, y'all. We have a great show today and all week. So, and if you haven't been on TreeTrunk.io yet, we need to
Buy some prints, reprint them, sell them, make money, but mostly enjoy the artists and support their work. Here's a Brandon Bro, Julie Pacino. We'll just take it out. TreeTrunk.io. Soul Curry Art, Richard Jacobs.
And I make my stuff really high res, so you can make physical prints if you would like to.
There's a single sabet that has not been bought.
Yeah.
That's got to be bought. I mean, it's a little rich for my blood, but it's only, I think, 0.8.
I love the point that you made that you can make physical prints too. Is that listed on your piece? Is there like a description that people can know that?
You know, I got to start being better about that with the descriptions, because, you know, when a website hits me with that, I'm just kind of like, oh, what do I write here? And I just kind of wrote with the actual physics. But yeah, I got to be better about, like, you get the rights to this and you can do this with it and blah, blah, blah.
It has been a pleasure. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everyone. Have a great day, great evening, wherever you are on the planet. We appreciate you for watching. Make sure you're following Arabella everywhere. Keep up with her work and get over to TreeTrunk.io. And if you're an artist and you want to be on the site, make sure you fill out the form so that you can have your site and you can have your work on TreeTrunk.
It's right up top when you get on TreeTrunk.io. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.